Right, going to go over to Billy now. He's been on his travels. I believe you've been over to Ireland.
Yeah, I've been to a return visit, bit of a revenge visit from last year when we went over to Loch Shiel for the international,
All right.
where we we went back see if we can catch a few decent sized fish, and we hit it absolutely perfect.
On,
Because
on the bung.
fun?
On the bung.
No. Dry fly and lovely mayfly wets pulling and
Excellent.
twiddling them, and I managed say three over the 4 days. I managed my personal best, got better and better and better,
Yeah.
and then on the last day I blanked, which is all right.
It
I lost
doesn't matter
one.
on Ireland.
Pardon?
It doesn't matter on Ireland if you're blank.
No, it doesn't matter. You know, if you get two fish in a session, you've done really well.
Yeah.
I had first day I was there was very English actually. It was sort of like the wind was all over the place
Yeah.
and calm and wind changing and lovely little ripples come up and it's the mayfly starting to go and you're fishing big mayfly patterns, wolves and what are they called, humpies and we actually noticed some spent gnat on the water.
All right.
And I put a spent gnat on. And I managed to get three on it. It was fantastic. I absolutely yammed it because it's an easy meal for them, isn't it?
Well, it's funny now. I used to go to Sheelan quite a bit, and I know two good guys over there, Kenneth and Dennis O'Keefe. Yeah. Lovely guys. And I remember Dennis showing us this fly, which was called a Big Mac.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why they called it a Big Mac till he showed us it. The only container it could fit in was a Big Mac from McDonald's. And it was enormous. I remember seeing a fly like it.
What was it, bowling buzzer or something like that?
No, it was basically like a wolf, but it was enormous. I never got to try it, but I thought I'd probably struggle to cast that. I've seen smaller pike flies.
I'll tell you what though, Paul, is that the having a gilly over there is so important literally we had Gary from Loch Shiel guiding.
Yeah,
he's got a website there. He's fantastic, and he puts all the fish back, looks after them, absolutely handles the fish with beauty, with care, and he's an absolute gentleman, and he knows his fishing knows that lake right down to the last tee, and. We only had 2 days, but it was 4 of us, and we had a day each out with him, and we had, literally we had 5. Me and my boat partner, John Sooty as we call him. I've forgotten his last name, isn't
he? He's a good friend, isn't
he? John Hancock. We had 5 in the boat, and so we missed loads, and the boys. Steve Collins and Hugh Frew, Huey. It was like a old boys outfit, and their day they had, I think it was Steve had 6, and
so it was a fair average age.
Yeah.
So did you come back with as many people?
Yeah, we managed to get. They gave us the pension pass at the bar. Actually,
I'll tell you what, you're right though. What you're saying about a gilly over there, some of us English lads can go over there and think we're not all. And I used to fish Ireland a lot, and that gilly can make or break your day.
Absolutely. I mean, I just had it written in large letters to me, and he showed us a couple of parts of the lake, and the fish were there. And on the 2 days that we didn't have the gilly, we managed to get a few, but nowhere near as many as when we had the gilly.
Makes a massive difference.
He's also holding you on the drift right. You know what I mean? You don't really use drogues over there. Definitely don't use drogues over there, and it's just that difference between holding, and keeping you in position, and just and that makes all the difference. Because last day, John and Steve had 4 fish in the boat and lost a couple, and Hughie and I both blanked, but I did have one on playing and I lost it and had another take. We had a little system over there. It was 5 points if you caught a fish, you landed a fish. You got 3 points if you played a fish and didn't land it. You got 2 points for a take and 1 point for a hard stare. The fish come out and had a look, You know,
See,
and look at you fly, like,
I've got a
give you
point.
that hard stare.
Yeah,
We thought that's worth the point. You
I've got a
know.
point system. 100 drives wins the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So it's,
yeah. I
no,
mean,
it's,
if you got to add a swirl, that was a take. You
yeah,
know.
exactly. To me, when I was in Ireland, a fish was a bonus.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I sometimes look at it, and I'm not really criticising anybody for it, but you know, when us English lads go over there, you ain't going to bag up in an hour or something.
no,
And I'll guarantee you, if you're lucky, you'll get 2, 3, 4 takes in a day. And don't know why, sod's law. The second you chuck it out and do that is
yeah,
when you'll get the pull.
yeah.
And your concentration levels have got to be.
As I say, it's four of the hardest days fishing because I mean, we were going quite near some rocks as well,
Yeah.
and it was snowy, and you had to get out at the right time, otherwise you're banging up against the rocks. So you really had to concentrate, and you got a couple of chucks. They were in quite close, so you got a couple of chucks, and you know, then boom, you had to go. You had to get out, otherwise you're in trouble. So you know, with a gilly, it makes it a lot easier.
Oh,
It holds you there. And when you're by yourself, it wasn't scary at all because I mean, Sheelan's great because all the rocks are marked.
Yeah.
It's a very, very safe place. It's one of the safest places I've ever fished in Ireland. I fished Corrib and I fished Marsk, and Marsk is the scariest place I've been on.
Yeah, I fish Mask.
They say Curran is pretty bad as well. The sea trout,
Yeah.
you know, for these sort of spiky rocks that stick up. You know, not very nice.
I know Mask is an enormous lake, and that thing, you can be motoring right across the middle and you'll come across a rock the size of a bus.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there the day before.
No.
That's, to me, you've got to have a gilly over there. Local knowledge is everything.
Yeah, and I couldn't recommend Gary from Lochshiel Guiding more. We booked him. I met him last year at the International.
Yeah.
We booked him up for these days, and he said, "Oh, you might be a bit late, you know." And I thought, well, we can't come any earlier, so we thought we might miss the May. But in fact, we got there right at the beginning of it, which is the best time to get before they get really, really, you know, bored with them. And they were just switching on to them, you know, just switching on to them. And I would say this week they're probably having a field day, you know, over at Mark.
So when you're saying you were catching on dries, what dries?
It was one that Gary gave us, which was it was called a rainbow wolf, wolf, and a humpy.
Yeah.
And say spent humpy, which is a mayfly pattern. It's just it's made of deer hair at the back, and it's got like a underbody of either yellow or something like that.
Yeah.
And a spent gnat, which was, I was amazed because I've never really spent, but it's sort of black and white.
Yeah.
The spent gnat, you know, and that was the best dries. And we used Keith Nicholson, you know Keith.
Yeah.
You know Keith? Well, he's got an Irish wet Irish mayfly pattern, which we used in the International, which was very, very good in the International last year for us, in quite small sizes. And we used a small Moseley May, sort of wet version of a Moseley May. And we just fished 2 flies, quite a long way apart, because the water's gin, you know, and 3 flies you just get all over the shop, and they see 3 flies all the time. So that's how we did quite well on that. And so we had 1 day really on the dries, and then we had 2 days, 3 days twiddling really, and pulling wets, you know. So it was you know, a good mixture, but really hard fishing. You know, you really concentrate. You've got to concentrate because you're going to get 3 or 4 chances in a day, and that's what you're all going to get, and you've got to be right on your toes.
Yeah.
So the first day I missed 4 on the dries, you know, really good, and the gilly was disgusted with me. Gary said, "God, call yourself a fisherman." You know?
Well, yeah, I've seen you fish the dries, and it's understandable.
Yeah. But it was all about hitting them right. And, you know, like we're sort of lazy over here. You know, fish comes up, you just lift and you're in to a certain extent. But he was saying, like to me, that you got to keep the line straight.
Yeah.
And if you see any swirl at all,
hit it. Yeah.
And then he said with the spent, you've got to give it a little bit more. And you know, very, very good tuition. And you know, I mean, I'm a lot, you know, fish the coals a lot and things like that. We watch it more than anything.
Yeah.
And you wait for the line to move and things like that, because they'll quite often swirl around the coals and you know. So, and some guys are good enough to see when they've taken them, and I'm not, because they're only tiny little things. But no, it's good. Good.
See, my way of thinking of my casting is, because my point fly can land anywhere, because I'm not the greatest caster. I just think if anything moves within 3 foot of where I think that fly is, I'm hitting it.
Well, that's a bit of the Irish method, really, as well.
Yeah.
You see anything around, you think your flies are lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cracking, really good.
Oh,
And we've
brilliant.
got a really good B&B over there. It's called Island View, run by Bridget Campbell, and she she hires boats.
Yeah.
Also, I say it's on a site. You'll see Island View. Just put that in, and Sheelan, and she hires boats and she does bed and breakfast and makes you a packed lunch.
Yeah.
And it's it's a purpose-made, brand new B&B. It's like 35. Can hold 35 people. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of an annex to the
Yeah.
Crover Hotel, and that's where we were on the Crover Shore app, and the B&B, you can use all the Crover facilities. So you can use the bar, restaurant there, or you can stay at the Crover. It's a little bit expensive, but not that much more expensive. And I say you got a bar, and they got meals there till sort of 9 o'clock at night. And
Bit of a cheeky question, Billy.
bar stays open as long as you're standing.
Yeah, bit of a cheeky question. Now, I've sampled Sheelan. Now, to me, Sheelan is probably, I would say, one of the best wild brown trout fisheries in the world. I love it. Absolutely stunning. The scenery, the people, everything. How much did it cost you for the 4 days? Because there's going to be people watching this who think, I could fancy that. And I would recommend it, and I know you would.
Yeah, well, I'm just sort of thinking about it. Say the fishing was about three, and the digs and everything, and the gilly. This is 4 of us. Mine was about €350 each.
Yeah.
For the digs, and it cost us about £100 each to get over there on the ferry.
Yeah.
Got to put petrol on top of that. It was about £50. So we're talking 3, 4. My wife might be watching this.
Yeah, I know.
I doubt it. I mean, I'll say the fishing and the digs and the transport to get over there is going to cost you about £600 for a week.
Now, considering, right, the reason I'm saying that because there's a lot of us or a lot of people out there who would be interested in going, but think that's a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, we were talking in the club the other day. I was talking to Ryan, and we went to Rutland, and we spent in 3 days £600.
There you go.
By the time your petrol, your digs, your food, your fishing, everything, £600.
I mean, the fishing over there is basically you can hire a boat and it's 25 euros, which is about £20, and that's with a boat with an engine. So the gilly's charging £120 a day, and that's including the boat. So for an extra 30 each, which is about £25.
And it's worth it.
He puts you on the fish, and I mean, it's like you got to. I would really strongly recommend it. If you go for 4 days, got to have at least 1 day with the gilly. Even 2's even better. That's why we planned it. And
I think it's worth paying the money for the gilly just for the stories they tell you.
Yeah.
Brilliant storytellers, absolutely brilliant.
And it gives you the Irish experience. You're on the shore at lunchtime. They do the kettle, you have tea and everything, and all the other gillies come in. And everyone says, "How you doing? How you doing?" But it's a bit more on the mobile phone now than time sesh. But the gillies are very, very competitive.
So really, for 4 days in Ireland to experience that. The Irish experience, wild brown trout fishing at its best. Yeah, it's about the same. It would cost you to go.
You probably could do it for about 500.
Yeah, so it's going to cost what it cost me to go to Rutland for a weekend.
Yeah.
Now I think that I'm starting to convince myself now to go back to Sheelan because it's an experience that everybody's got to.
The other thing about Sheelan is it's literally only an hour and 10 minutes from the ferry.
Yeah.
And it's not like going to Galway. It's not like going, the Mask and all that. It's miles and miles the other side. And it really, I've done it, and it's a beautiful experience. But I say for a reasonable, real good taste, and not to be frightened of it, because it's a lake that is very manageable.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like you go to Mask and you sort of look, off into the sunset and 17 miles.
I used to go out to the Cushloff Bay.
Yeah.
Which is the size of Grafham.
Yeah.
And that's just where they hold the boats on Mask. Do you know what I mean? It was absolute. And if more than 2 people went to get out that exit, it was so narrow. And I remember being in the World Wet Fly Championships, and there was something like 70 boats trying to get through this little gully. Yeah. There was people ending up on rocks and everything. It was frightening. But Mask I wouldn't go on mass without a ghillie at all.
I
And
mean,
I've been there
that's
so
for your
many
own
times.
safety.
Yeah.
For your own safety, at least, you know. And I've been out with really experienced ghillies, and they go, oh, I didn't know that was there, you know.
It's an experience, kind of. For me, Sheelan, it's the one I really enjoyed. It's
Sheelan, all the rocks are marked, so it's right through the middle. There's not a rock at all right through the middle of it. There's probably one big island, and then lots of small ones down the Crover side, Castle Island, that sort of stuff. But on the side, Killarnard from where most of the boats go out, that's it's bays and lovely.
What was the buzzer like when you were there, Billy?
Well, we were at the wrong end for the buzzer because we were at the Crover end, which is the best end for the mayfly. But I mean, there's great buzzer fishing, and you've got to go up to Bog Bay, the top end where you were, Finney, that where the river comes in, and Orangefields. Orangefield's not bad for maize, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of buzzer fishing all at that top end. Is probably the better end.
What I remember when we were there, I've never seen it so good. Was when you get the like the tubes of buzzer, and you can see them above the trees, and they were just everywhere.
Yeah, we went there last year, and we were right in sort of April. We took I dropped a couple on dries. They just came up for a second, but the buzz, that's fantastic. Bog Bay. The buzzer fishing is outstanding, and early doors, and I don't really know it that well afterwards, but they say the sedge fishing's pretty tremendous.
Well, I was going to that was the next one.
August onwards.
Yeah, we stopped out a couple of late nights, and I remember I was sitting there, and it was pitch black, and I put the torch across the top of the water, and I'm not kidding you, there was a sedge every 2 inches. I just reeled in. I thought, what's the point? They're never going to pick mine out of these millions. I've never seen food like it.
Yeah. Well, I say we were sitting on there with a mayfly, and we're thinking, why are they coming up and taking ours? Well, because it's something different. And the ghillie was saying, that's the reason why they take it, because they look at it.
Slightly different.
They haven't seen it, and they have it, It's a bit like big fish. You're like, there you got a massive buzzer, and you've got something a little bit different, they'll pick it out,
Excellent. So when you're getting back to normality, when you're back on...
well, I'm up to Draycott this weekend. We got the AMFC, and I'm not looking forward to it after what you've just told me.
It's been a bit dirty lately, which is unfortunate because really Draycott should be basically bang on the surface, but from all accounts it's not. So what we need to do is we'll catch you next Monday.
Yeah,
and
give me what I thought of Drake.
Yeah, get a different view.
And then after that, I'm back to bewl pretty well. And then I've just booked up. I'm in the national. I hope you're in the national. I've got myself a boat partner for a few days fishing.
Don't know what I'm doing yet. I think I'm going to be doing Blithfield next weekend.
All right.
I'm hoping to do that one anyway.
Yeah. It sounds like it's fishing quite well.
Yeah, it's top of the water. It's nymphs, which suits me better. So keep my fingers crossed I get into that one. I've got a phony in Colclough.
By the way, old book, congratulations for getting through it at Grapham. That's a good effort.
I tell you what, it was a brilliant weekend, Billy. Absolutely brilliant. I was on form. I cabbaged everybody before they went out. I thought, I'm sick of doing these nice team talks.
Oh, no.
So I gave them so much shit before they went out. It was unbelievable. I got Stevie Piat so wound up, it was unbelievable. Davey Parker got him wound up. Howell just sat there and laughed. I think he was on drugs at the time. But no, it was just a really nice weekend.
Dreaming of the fatherland at the time, was he?
Sorry?
Wasn't dreaming of the fatherland, was he?
He's not very amused at that video. I'll tell you what, I don't give a monkey's what anybody says. That video where I put the little black tash on him, I'll tell you what, he's
a ringer, isn't he? Absolutely.
He's spitting dabs of him. I'll not tell you, I got a phone call that night about 11 o'clock once he'd watched it, and all I got was, you, and that was it. No, he wasn't.
Home then.
Listen, anybody's safe with me.
Anyway, I've got to plug them again. I've got to plug Bridget Campbell at Island View.
Yeah.
One of the best B&Bs I've ever stayed. Brand new.
Yeah.
Showers, the whole lot. Fantastic. Right next door to the Crover. And then you just straight down from the Crover down onto the dock. And it's like the easiest place I've ever fished. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent.
Really excellent.
Well, if anybody's interested, they can get in touch with Troutwatch, and I'll get the details and I can put it up on the site.
Yeah. And Loch Sheelan Guiding, they do reports and everything, and a great gallery of fish. Fish, you just got to look at the fish they're taking out of there.
Believe, I'm a convert. I used to go 15 years ago. But
so I had a 3.5 pounder and a 4+, and 2.5 pounders and 2 1.5s, and I say we had a 7 pound plus, 6 pound plus, another 4, and several 2.5, 3 pounders between the 4 of us. It's absolutely cracking. So we all had blanks, but I would say on everyone on the other 3 days caught. So every day we all caught, so it was brilliant. But everyone had the odd blank here and there. But
it's got to happen, isn't it?
Got to happen there, isn't it?
That's Ireland. At least you can go out and drown your sorrows with the black stuff on the night.
Oh, we didn't do that. No,
I bet you didn't, Billy.
I was doing knitting actually. Knitting.
Whatever. You're full of shit.
Occasional fly tying, Yeah.
Right, Billy. It's been lovely chatting to you. I shall catch you later.
Lovely, mate. Cheers mate.